I'm trying to do it so smooth. I'm trying to do this shit for me and you. I hope you see the bigger picture that I'm painting. My pain ain't nothing to play with, boy. We talk that stainless steel. Pop you in your top for real. Riding around my pops for real. This shit right here feel real as ever. I used to pop them pills.
Good.
You leading off?
After a long overdue process of getting ready for tonight's
Was it that long?
show.
I mean, it wasn't that long.
Nah, it was a good little setup process. We back.
We are back.
I'm your host, co-host, whatever you want to call it, partner in the show, Kobe. This is Zay,
Just filling in.
a guest. Nah, just joking. Now we back with the Paradigm and Perspective show. We got a couple different topics that we kind of want to touch on, but they all are in the essence of corporate America. And
Basing off of what, though?
I'm about to say we recently just finished season 2 of Severance.
Go watch that.
If you have not watched that show, it's a great show. If you are a person that likes dialogue, the dialogue is the plot.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
If you're not a person that don't really like dialogue, if you can't really follow along, you may be a little bit lost sometimes. And it's a show that you can't necessarily like fall asleep on or like watch the
Nah,
shit.
you definitely can't,
you
bro.
have to watch the show. It's one of those shows where you genuinely have to tune in. If you got free time, like you gotta watch the show.
Yeah.
You're not gonna be able to like do anything else because you'll miss parts. And I think the acting in it is just that good.
Yeah, for sure, bro.
My thing is like you can't tell whether this person is being this way or that way. Kind of give everybody a back scene of the series and the seasons. Severance is a show where you essentially have a work self and a at-home self or outside life self. Kind of tell y'all enough about the show, but not telling y'all too much. You essentially have a person that is the same person, but two different people at the same time. One version of them goes to work, and then the other version of them is at home and enjoy their life outside of work. But they don't know about each other. Or they know about each other, but they don't intervene with each other.
They know each other exists.
Yes.
Basically.
There's no, yeah. They don't intervene with each other. And it just goes to show, like, to me, it was a wake up call, because it very well feels like that when you're in corporate America.
Mm-hmm.
You're at work, or what they call it in the show, your innie.
Your innie, yeah.
Your innie is, and that's basically your work in self. You is very different than your outside, what they call outie, your outside version of yourself. It can be called code switching. It can be called work-life balance.
And there ain't no balance in that.
It's not a balance, right? Because you spend 8 hours of your day at work. You spend another 8 hours sleep.
Just about to say that.
When are you being your true self? And so,
Because you spend an hour or two decompressing from work.
then you probably spend an hour or two, like, we're not even talking about just personal hygiene.
Getting ready
That's
and
not
stuff.
being yourself.
Exactly.
That's just human
Necessity,
decency.
bro. Yeah.
Like, you know what I mean? And I'm talking about eating, because that's not necessarily being yourself, because you're just feeding
Doing
yourself.
what you have to do
you
on a
just give
primal
yourself
level.
nutrients. So when are you truly yourself? So like you said, the balance is not there.
Mm-hmm.
I think what captivated me about the show is the fact that the characters in the show were so good at playing two different people, because again, eventually your work self develops some sort of autonomy,
Yeah.
personality, some sort of just a different version of yourself.
Yeah. An identity.
And essentially, when you go home or when you're clocking out, as soon as you, and people who work in corporate America can tell you this, as soon as you clock out, you like turn into a different person. Mm-hmm. You throw your rap music on, you throw your, you know what I mean? You might roll down them windows, or you might throw your tent up, you know, for people that indulge in it. They might smoke them a blunt. Like, you definitely gonna fire up a cigarette if you 40 and up, more than likely. You go drink. You know, you can't just necessarily be yourself in a corporate America, and I don't think it allows for you to be yourself. And I think the people that are themselves in corporate America,
it was designed for them.
Yeah.
And that's damn. That's crazy to me because.
My bad. I kind of.
No, you good.
To give them a rundown.
Yeah, for sure. You know, fill them in on so they can have a basis of where to go mentally with us in this conversation. But even just that last part where you said that the people who are able to be themselves in that environment literally was just created for them. So anybody else who can't be themselves in that environment, it's you have to go into a character every single day for 8 hours throughout the week just to maintain at a job that wasn't even designed for you. But you were coexisting in a system that was not designed for you at all. So not to say, it's easy for a person to say, oh, well, why would you go into corporate America? I mean, nigga, opportunities, bro. It wasn't created for us, but I mean, shit, you got to get it how you get it, bro. And if corporate America paying a certain bag, it ain't a sellout to play a character just to, you know, go to work, get your bag, couple hours and come home. Like, that's just what it is. That's the reality that we're in until we're able to take control of the society at large. But, you know, just things of that such, and just the fact that being close to people who have to tap into a certain identity going into a workforce or a company, it's just, I'm sure that shit gets so draining because I know I feel like, and this is something I was thinking about, I feel like at times your Audi wakes up during the times where you being an Indian. It's like, damn, nigga, you really operating like this, bro?
Yeah.
You really, like, sure. You feel me? So it's just, then
that reintegration definitely hits.
So explaining to what reintegration is.
Reintegration is basically where someone on the outside of Severance, basically, or they used to work with Severance, basically is trying to reintegrate the person with, basically merge the two personalities. Yeah. Merge the two parts of the mind that have separated. And that's when you have flashbacks, or that you have, essentially flashbacks of when you were outside the workplace and having a good time and had that autonomy and had that you weren't assimilating to your work behaviors.
Right.
And you can have those flashbacks while you're at work. And so it's certain things that evoke that reintegration in real life. Mm-hmm. Somebody try you at work where, like, they speak to you a certain way. And I think that's the part where you get to, like, first, I'm loyal to me over all this. Yeah. So they expect, in corporate America, they expect a certain level of loyalty to the company. And it works, right? For the main part, when you paying me, right? When you giving me the benefits, when I can provide for my family. But at some point, I can't allow myself to feel disrespected as a human being, right, and my morals and my personal morals and principles. And so I can see myself, you know, at my desk some days like, this is really life, or not necessarily this is life, but this is what they call free.
Right.
Like, I'm doing something for someone else so that they can make this amount of money while I'm still sitting here, not necessarily at the bottom of the totem pole, not necessarily at the top of the totem pole, but just somewhere in between with not necessarily little to show for myself, but not as much as the person that's at the top. And it's like, at some point, you start to have that conversation with yourself, like, I need to build something for myself.
Yeah. And
so that's when, you find yourself doing things like maybe podcasting or having yourself outside business that if it does blow up or if it does pop, that you can go ahead and, essentially make that your full-time job. Right. But some people get stuck in that 9 to 5. Some people get stuck in that 9 to 5, like going to work,
that
getting
becomes
off.
Them.
Yes, yeah, and that becomes their personality. And your innie becomes who you are outside. So you don't have no outside friends. I didn't allow that to essentially like take over my life.
You get mad at your work friends for having outside friends.
Yeah.
Like you get mad at people for not being any on the outside because that's what you are 24/7.
24/7. You want to hang with them. That's now your crowd. But that's proximity. Like that's what I realized. And I don't mean to say that to be mean, but I tell people all the time at work, and not all the time, but enough to where I hit them with if I didn't work here, we probably would have never had a conversation. You do understand that, right?
Yeah.
Like we close
in a lot
here,
of situations, yeah.
But we probably would have never had
and that's okay though.
Yeah, that's fine
okay.
because there's a lot of situations, but we don't have to sit here and act like we best friends, or we don't have to hang outside of work to make us like work friends.
Right.
We could just be essentially work friends, and we can keep it as a separate point of view.
Exactly.
But we can also merge the two. But I don't know if you're gonna like the outside version of me because I don't abide by the corporate standards outside.
I haven't dedicated my life to Kier, bro.
Simply put,
I haven't dedicated my life to Amazon. I haven't dedicated my life to JCPenney,
Walmart. I haven't,
whoever it is.
Like your Tesla. Like Elon Musk is not my Helena Egan.
No,
like you know what I mean. It's not my heli. Like I'm not one of those people.
I'm here to get a check. Some people treat their jobs like it's like a personal relationship, and some people treat it as it's transactional, which most of the time, fuck that. A lot of times, companies treat it like it's transactional.
They do,
especially if we talk about big corporations. So if you're treating a employee and employee relationship like it's a personal, loving relationship, while they're treating it as a business transactional relationship, you're bound to get played in the end. Because if something comes up and you're looking for them to, per se, be on your side because you're looking at it as we have a personal bond because I work for this company, and you realize they drop their hammer on your ass and you get replaced within the next couple of days, oh, it was transactional the whole time. Duh, nigga. This is a $1 billion company. Of course, their manuals and the employee workbook and handbook will say this and that. Yeah. HR gonna tell you all that, but at the end of the day, you got to go into it knowing, especially going back again to these environments wasn't made for certain people off rip. So you should be going into it knowing, shit, they bringing me here because I can do a certain thing at a certain level, and I'm coming here because they can get me to a certain level. In terms of career advancement or financial advancement. Yeah. It should go no further than that, bro.
It shouldn't go. Yeah, I agree. Having that separate mindset is a good starting point to me.
Yeah.
Because it like you said, knowing that it's a transactional relationship with your company has to be. You got those super duper employees where they want to be employee of the month. They think they're gonna get some type of recognition for it, and then all you get to do for that is a trip to I don't know, Kentucky in the middle of, you know what I mean, to a baseball game, and you're supposed to.
Sometimes not even that, bro. You seen that one video on TikTok? The nigga never missed a day at Burger King. They gave him a T-shirt and a certificate or something. I'm like, bro, what?
Come on, man.
This is something like 20 years. He never missed a day of work.
Like,
I can imagine not missing a day for 20 years. Nah,
no PTO, no nothing. Like, brother is like chilling.
Transactional, bro.
Keep it transactional. Take your time. If they give you time off, take the time off. I feel like I can tell you how transactional it is. I'm not gonna say the corporate company it was, but I went for an interview, right? And this was when I was first kind of getting my corporate, getting in my corporate bag. And I didn't know any better. I should have, like, essentially my mom and dad had felt like I just already knew how to do interviews and stuff because I had gotten to the third round of the interview. So I'm at the third round of the interviews, and I'm gonna tell you how much loyalty they want from you. I crushed the interview, the first 2 interviews. I mean, it was just I was answering the right questions, grad student. It just so happened that I fit the description they was looking for. And some companies, they need African Americans.
Right.
So then they gotta, I came from HBCU.
Feel they quota.
I'm tech based, all of that. I went into the third round of the interview, and it was one question that kind of tripped me up. And it's an easy question now that I think about it, now that I've grown. But when I was fresh out of college, hadn't had any interview practice, they said, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Not where do you see yourself in this company in 5 years, not where do you see yourself develop here in this particular business opportunity in 5 years, just where do you see yourself in 5 years?
Right.
Or later on in life. And I was like, well, I want to be able to grow here and learn all that I can, technically based, technical acumen, all of that. But I said one part at the end of that, I said, and eventually with my life, I want to grow my own small.
Oh, they hate that.
I want to be able to grow my own small business, my small cybersecurity business.
Boy, they hate that.
For small businesses. And
that's like a spit in the face to them.
Oh my goodness. I saw his face. And of course, opposite gender, but I saw his face change as soon as I said that.
It's a conflict of interest to them.
Because
even if you don't have it yet, their mindset is
you're competition.
You're not all in on this,
and you're trying to use us to advance in the future.
But ain't that so crazy? Because isn't that what they're using you for, though?
They're using me to advance my knowledge, my work ethic, my assimilation to the company.
This is why we're telling y'all to treat it transactional, bro, because when companies see that you're operating the same way they do, they don't like that. They want you to treat it personal while they're treating it transactional so they can get over on you. So they can pimp you, bro. It's a pimping process. They want you to be bought into it. They want your emotions in it. They want your heart into it while they be detached from it. Nigga, they pimping on you, bro. They give you the little piece of parties. They give you the little, lanyards and all that shit, man. Nigga, what was your sales like this quarter, bro? Let's get in here. Let's have a talk. Damn, I thought we just had a good conversation about the coffee pots.
Don't matter.
Don't matter, bro.
Don't matter. You're not.
Get your shit right. It ain't no.
We're gonna put you on a. We're gonna write you up actually because you're not doing the work that we want you to do. At the
how we wanted to do it. Sometimes you could be doing the work. It's how we want you to do it. Did you go by the guidelines within the handbook? Did you read Section 8, Article 7 that was written in bold print?
You are having too much autonomy inside this workplace. Severance.
They
start having too much autonomy inside that workplace. That's when it start getting real strict.
You're finding the identity in the work that they want you to do in your own way.
And they don't want you to do that.
No, bro.
They want you to be a robot. They want people with personalities that perform like AIs. I don't want you to have of course, it's always good if you're happy in here, but I don't really care if you're happy or not.
I don't give a damn.
I like dead ass, they don't care.
Mr. Johnny don't care.
He doesn't care.
Mr. Johnny want his work done.
Hey.
Mr. Johnny want his work done. He want your ass in his building on time.
More than likely, your manager has a manager that reports to them,
Mm-hmm.
or they're reporting to a manager. So then they're more loyal than you. So he'll get you out of that seat because he's more loyal to the company than you, so that he can stay at the company. Why is he more loyal to the company? Because he's higher in that totem pole. Okay, then you have the person that's like he said at the beginning of this episode, you have the person that has created this company to fit them. Them motherfuckers don't, excuse my language, but them motherfuckers don't get out of that seat until they're about to croak.
Yeah.
They're not letting anybody else into that
Yeah.
seat. Or if it is them that's getting out that seat, they're putting their cousin, their brother, their brother-in-law, their sister-in-law. No, it's not really. Never mind, not sister-in-law. Their nephew.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna put their nephew. They're not really putting. They're putting certain people in there so it can stay in the family, so it can stay in their circle, so they can still essentially have that control because they build it for themselves. Yeah. So I say that to say one little response that I had in the interview got me to boot.
Yeah.
I did not get that job. And they said, it gave me a BS reason, which was like, oh, you don't have enough experience, da-da-da-da. But I was just high on y'all radar, or we found a better candidate. I promise you they don't have a master's degree like me. I guarantee you they don't.
Yeah.
Not at the time, because people weren't finishing school back then.
And, bro, even past, not to cut your wing, but I'm going to let you land, but even past what you can do on paper, sometimes what you provide to the environment, bro, is intangible. Like the aura or the energy you bring to the environment. I think a lot of managers and bosses overlook that. They think performance on paper is the most important thing, but sometimes that person brings a certain camaraderie to the environment that's helping it excel. But you can't see that, my nigga, because you're never in the fields. You're never on the sales floor. You're never in the offices. You're never walking around the cubicles. You're either always at headquarters or in your office. So you don't see that level of, how can I say, impact that person bring that doesn't show up on the paper. There's no statistics for camaraderie. There's no statistics for
the intangibles.
There is no statistics for those things, bro. So when you can't see that, you would downplay a person's impact just because maybe they're somewhat good of what they're doing, but they're making everybody else, your top sellers are great because of his energy.
His energy.
So when you remove that and you start bringing people in, why is the sales low?
They don't have the same energy. They don't have the smile that, greets everybody in the morning.
Come on, bro.
I think just certain people, like the Walmart greeters are essential to Walmart.
Yeah.
The greeters are the people that can do little but have a huge impact.
Yeah, bro.
Those are the people that they don't see.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the people that they don't, like, they'll let go easily. But I'll give you an example. Chick-fil-A should be riding this one boy on TikTok that is, and have a nice day, and doing all that.
Yeah.
Him, y'all should be riding him. He should be in commercials.
They
y'all
be
should
firing
be giving
people
him,
like that.
You should give him more because he has found his personality inside the job. He has literally made that location, I guarantee you, more money in the last 2 months than they've ever seen because people are going to go see him.
Right.
Coworkers are ready to work or know they're going to have a good time at work because he's in that personality every single time.
Yeah.
People like him, you can't buy.
Mm-mm.
You can't replace.
It can't replace. I was about to say.
You can't replace. You can't.
Everybody
say,
can't
hey,
be replaced. Corporate America.
You can't replace that person because that person has literally took your company, engulfed themselves in it, and then twisted it and made it their own personal fantasy. Whatever they're doing, he is obviously in a whole like game mode, AI chat, whatever. Like he is live streaming himself basically. He feel like there's some cameras on him, obviously. So people like that, you can't replace. You can't. It don't matter if you hire 100 people, you're still not gonna find one other person like him. Mm-hmm. and he's gonna get you the buzz. He's gonna get, okay, well, yeah, like the memes and stuff like that. Stuff you don't need. He's basically advertising your company without y'all having to pay him to advertise.
Yeah.
Y'all don't have to pay for a commercial at this point. But what you should do as a company that notices him, a major corporation, is put him on a pedestal to show others that you can't. We're encouraging you having autonomy inside our workplace, having a personality inside our workplace. But they don't do that. They discourage it because they want you to just go ahead and sell. We want you to meet these numbers because this is the quota that we have. We want you to basically come to work and do your damn job. Shut up and dribble.
I'm gonna tell you exactly why they do that. What we at on time right there? You said a point. You said a bar right there, bro. The reason why they do that, bro, because say for instance the person you were just talking about, they bring it. So yeah, they bring in attraction to that location, but they're also bringing in money. So when you hear that, you would think, oh damn, like so the company should be loving that. But then once you realize how the companies react to that and respond to that, and it's in a sense of disagreement with that, you realize it's not about money at that point. It's about control on buying into what we want this to look like. And for it, stay in these lines. Don't get out of line, nigga.
Yeah.
And that ain't black, white. It had nothing to do with race.
Yeah.
Bro, when you're underneath corporate America, don't get out of line, nigga. Don't overstep your line. It's only so much. Even when you get to popping and blowing up and you still underneath a certain company, best believe they watching you.
For sure.
You viral within a certain company, they know who you are. So all the people who, work at certain Chick-fil-A's or Waffle House or, Targets and you viral, they're watching you. Just long as you stay in that little box or guidelines, they'll let you have your fun. You start getting out them lines, gonna tap you on your ass. Now, if that don't work, you getting a boot. It ain't you gotta realize it ain't about money. Yeah, you can be bringing that company a certain amount of money, but how they look at it, they $1 billion company, nigga. You're not making them. You may be
a couple extra million ain't nothing.
Couple of,
That ain't nothing.
That's
$10 to us.
When they feel like you possibly shifting their MO in a certain way that wasn't set up by the godfathers of that company, the founders, man, because to them it ain't worth it. Because they know, bro, you gotta understand these niggas play a different game.
We're gonna be here longer than
bro. They blueprint shit from 10 years out, so they understand. You gotta think. A lot of people at the top of these companies come from ancestors of people who conquered civilizations and races.
That's real.
And as at large, bro. So you gotta think that certain type of thinking gets passed down through DNA, bro. So they're not seeing it as, oh, he making money. He's a threat to how we got this shit running. Fuck what money he making us. Nah, that we losing control. We're losing power. The person who has power has more control over the person who has money. A nigga that's broke, but he got power, connections, and resources, he's gonna trump the nigga with money every time. Because if you got money, but nobody wanna work with you, nobody wanna work with you in your corner, nobody respects your money, nobody wants to do business with you, as opposed to somebody who got power, a politician who may not have as much money, but wanna work with you because of who you know and the amount of people that respect you, it hit different. Just like on Power is a perfect example. Bro, James St. Patrick wasn't the richest nigga.
He wasn't.
Even in those character lines, he wasn't the richest nigga.
He had to go to somebody.
But he had the power though, so everybody wanted to work with that nigga. It just, once you understand that, bro, you understand that you're dealing with bosses that, again, this is a very important point. It's from a lineage of ancestors who specialize in conquering and reigning control and using power to suppress. So you understand that all they're doing is watering it down and mass spreading it on a corporate level to where it's not as egregious and aggressive, but it's still the same thing, just in a watered down version to where everybody can buy into it and get underneath its control because it's not guerrilla warfare or it's not jacking you up by your shirt or stoning you or, have you at
Praise Kier.
on knees by the sword. Like, it's just even stuff like that. So we keep saying praise Kier because in the show, that's something they would say. And Kier was, I believe, the founder of Lumen.
Yeah.
So even with that, nigga, you may be saying praise Nike, but just in a certain way. If somebody say something to you about a certain company like Under Armour or Converse or Adidas, nigga, you ready to take their head off.
Nah, fact.
That's you saying praise Nike, bro.
Yeah.
That's you saying, bro. If a nigga say Louis V is better than Gucci and you going to bat about this shit, you ready to stop talking to your homeboy about it, nigga, that's you saying praise Louis Vuitton. That's an actual person, bro. I'm gonna land it right here. Even with you overpaying for certain products, knowing how much it takes to make it, nigga, that's you saying praise Gucci because it takes $15 to make what you spent $2,500 on.
Okay.
That's you saying praise Gucci, bro. It's the same shit. It's just packaged a different way, bro. I'm landing right there, bro.
That's real because I think if you watch the show, you start to understand that.
Yes,
in
bro.
some way, everybody is saying it at some point.
Yeah.
The major corporations are getting people to say praise this in a different way. Like you said, they wrapping it and they package it different. But you not doing nothing or purchasing the product is just as bad as somebody going into work for the corporate company. You just saying it a different way.
Yep.
So I say that to say you're absolutely right that the corporate machine just sees us as cogs.
Yeah.
They don't necessarily see us as the things that make it go. Their mantra is it's gonna go regardless.
And they really think that shit.
It's gonna go regardless. And it's almost it make you not wanna again save your autonomy for your outside self. Save your ideas for your outside self. Make people pay you for your ideas. It took me some old heads at my job, current and previous job, to tell me, don't do more than you paid for.
I'm telling you, bro.
What y'all mean? Like, nah, that's how you get the promotion. Yeah, okay. Don't do more than you paid for. And I'd be like, well, why we ain't doing this? And I have all these ideas and like, why it's not this way? That's outside of your scope of support, brother. I don't even know why you went down that rabbit hole. Like, I don't know. You're not getting paid to do that. And this one lady told me, she said, Kobe, I know what's supposed to be done. I'm going to keep showing them that they need to do their job. I could easily do their job for them and make it easy on them. But I don't get paid what they get paid.
Yep.
So I'm not going to do it. And it's like, dang, in school you taught that that's insubordination. In school you taught that, why wouldn't you tell me that there needs to be a correction on this paper? That's insubordinate of you. That's, y'all knew y'all was supposed to do this. Or don't do the bare minimum. Or exceed.
Well, school is also
a pipeline to the major corporations.
I was about to
to
say,
me.
because the person who set it up, the person who was behind the scenes of the school system was a heavy businessman.
Knows that in order to get people,
the Rockefellers, if I'm not mistaken,
in order to get people to not only be a machine and work for a major corporation, you have to train them. And then what does it start in? The early stages of life.
Right.
If you don't start teaching your children how to have their own mindset, how to be free, their outside version will be their inside version the whole time because they're in school majority of the time. I think the biggest fear for me as a parent, not even the fear, but just the biggest, like, I say one of the saddening things is seeing them grow up, because knowing that they're gonna go to school, or knowing that a society has put school as such a top priority for my kids.
Yeah.
And I know I'm gonna miss some of the biggest like stepping stones, personality development, character development, years, because 8 hours a day they're gonna be at school.
Right.
And maybe not 8, when they're younger, but essentially 8 hours a day for the better part of their beginning years of life. They're gonna be at school, which is only teaching them 8 hours a day for your later years in life. You're supposed to be at a job, and as a parent, I think our jobs is to reintegrate our kids.
They come home immediately. Soon as they get off that, soon as they step a foot in that door, reintegration should start.
Reintegration should start every day. Train them to be self-taught, independent, think for yourself, question. All of the things that are not necessarily taught in school. You may have 1 or 2 teachers inside a building that are teaching kids to kind of be different and stuff like that, teaching kids to think outside the box. But you, as a parent, that's your job. So I say all that to say, please watch the show Severance. Please give me, if you have watched the show Severance, give me your opinion on it, because I like to see the different takes of it. Season 2 is a hell of a season.
And bro, it's so much to unpack.
It's so much to unpack, because you can miss some things. Like, it's stuff that we haven't talked about that you'll be like, and this can be like, this is a similarity in your life in this way.
Yeah.
Like, just seeing people, how people treat you now that you work for corporate America. Like, it's different.
Even to the point to where seeing how they were inside of work, it was almost like when they were outside of work, they were still just going through the motions. If you peep that, bro, most of them, they were just still Mark, Irvin, Dylan,
all of them.
Helly was the only one because she was involved in the E, and so she was the only one who really
Spoiler alert. He just gave out spoiler alert. Good gracious alive. You got to put that on the episode. I knew you was, and I was going to say, are we going to do like spoiler alerts?
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. Good gracious.
But yeah, so that was a mean spoiler alert. My bad, y'all. But it's just the fact that I noticed, I'm like, damn, so they not even inside of work anymore, but because their outside self is so detached from, I guess, their everyday purpose in life of what they're doing, because none of them was really doing anything outside of going to work.
Yeah.
So their outside version was just existing because they detached so much from their work. You know what I mean? So at the same, it's one of those things where don't build too much of an identity within your workforce. But again, integrate, bring both worlds together to where you still have your level of sauce in a sense within that environment. So when you go home, it's like you didn't detach.
Yeah.
It's like you still, you know what I mean? You balancing, you still navigating in between two. You're not giving them too much there, but it's just for your sake. It's not for them to get to know you a certain way. It's for when you come home, it don't feel like you was outside of your body for 8 hours.
Nah,
you know what I mean?
It goes to show, like, when you at work, when you come home, you could easily be one of those people that forget the purpose of going to work.
Yeah.
Like, you essentially going to get these jobs to be able to provide yourself a way of living that you wanted to. Mm-hmm. So your drive from work should be essentially trickling over to your everyday life, because you want to. It should be your drive and your purpose for life.
Yeah, for sure.
And
to
some people,
to
a certain extent, but some people don't have that drive and purpose. Some people leave that drive and purpose at work, or take it to work and then just leave it. Mm-hmm. And so it's one of those things you have to watch out for, because I personally in corporate America want to get as far as I can, of course, but my reasoning behind that is because I want to be able to provide a life for my family and that vision that I have. Mm-hmm. Now, you can't put too much faith in that because at the end of the day, if COVID happens, if the company essentially goes bankrupt, the fuck you got? Yeah. Like, you didn't put so much effort and time and consideration and all your good ideas into this one company, and then it leaves you out to dry when it's time for you or when you need them most.
I just want to touch on the ideas point because that's something I'm going to touch on, bro. When you work for a company, they own your ideas, bro.
Oh, yeah.
So limit the amount of ideas you funnel within to that company because what they'll do, they'll take your ideas, they'll listen to it, they'll have it into the boardroom, they'll talk about it, they'll discuss it with you not even being in the room, and then they'll let you go because that's not how we do things. But behind your back, they're implementing your ideas because when you work for a company, they own your ideas.
Which is another part of you see it in Severance.
Exactly. You definitely do.
You see it in Severance.
So that's the point where you had said about when the lady said, I know what needs to be done, but I'm going to let them do it to let them know, like, this is y'all work to be done.
Yeah.
So, but when you go into a company trying to bring all your big ass ideas, nigga, you're a threat.
Yeah.
You're a threat. Never outshine the master. Ever. That's rule number. It's in the 48 laws of power, but that's damn near rule number 1 working in corporate America, bro. Never outshine the master, bro. Especially when you got a certain type of boss who's very fragile. He micromanages or she micromanages, and he likes the shine of power, or just likes to be the one. Watch it, bro. Cause you think you're helping out or you're doing a service to the company. No, you're stepping on toes. It get deeper than you think. You think you're just helping out. Nah, nigga, who this young nigga trying to come in here trying to give ideas? Ain't nobody asking for that. You're not at the board.
You ain't got no rank for that, bro. Watch your rank.
And it's very innocent because you coming in thinking like, I'm here to help the company. If it's all for the company.
This process should be able to teach us all something, or this process will be more efficient for everyone, right? And essentially, it probably will. Mm-hmm. But some person is in there and you're doing their job. Exactly. And they're upset that you're doing your job.
And you could be doing it better than them, and that's an issue,
That's a threat. And a person that feels threatened has to eliminate the threat. So now all of a sudden, you find yourself, you have way more work to do. They're giving you work to do at home that you ain't never had to do, or you can't finish it at work, because we need to suppress your thoughts, because if you have too much time on your hands to think of ways how to do my job, I'm not giving you enough work to do
you got
your
me
job.
fucked up.
I'm not doing
because you about to make me have to do more work.
Exactly.
I ain't never had to do this much work. Nah, I'm about to get you X'd out. Bro, a point that Deontay Cal said, and this would be my last point, because the other point I had, that could go into a whole nother.
Yeah.
He said, bro, it's a difference between a boss and a leader, bro. A boss, nigga, a boss, they're so far removed from it because they really don't even know how to do the job. So they want to keep you at bay because they don't really even know what they're doing as is. So in ways, they belittle you or water you down because they know their job can be at stake, because a boss really never been in the fields most of the time.
Nope.
In some cases, never been in the fields, never did, the groundwork in certain areas. A lot of these bosses were kin to people, or, was groomed to go right into the boss role, was never groomed to the sales floor or the making the cold calls or none of that. Mm-mm. So when you have that type of boss who didn't work up through the ranks, it's in a state of don't do too much, don't learn too much, just do what I tell you to do. As opposed to a leader, nigga, a leader went through that shit. A leader had to go through the ranks. A leader is right there with your cubicle helping you out.
Front line.
Click that. Get that person to call in about 3 minutes. I used to have this account. They're usually very friendly. If you just boom, 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 boom. They give you the game.
Leader.
That's a leader, bro. It's in the fields. So a leader, nigga, never worried about you taking their job because, nigga, they're giving you the sauce. So that person knows you need me because I'm still funneling the sauce. I'm
the reason why my specialists or the people around
Right,
me,
bro.
my technicians, my operations people go because I
it
know
can't
the
go
way.
smoothly
A
without me, bro.
boss is a person that is afraid to lose his job, so he hires other people or other leaders
Who are
around
good at
him
it.
who are good at his job
That's exactly
to
what I'm
be
trying
able
to say.
to then tell other people what to do.
Yep.
Because a boss is a person that shifts his workload to other people. A leader will take on the workload, but also they will delegate work to individuals who have trained, hands-on
Yeah.
trained how to do the work.
Yeah.
And so a lot of corporations don't necessarily have leaders, they have bosses, and a lot of small businesses have leaders. That's why in corporate America, if you see some of those smaller companies, you know you're going to be trained well because you can see a company develop and grow like no other when you have a leader, because a leader has tried and failed. A leader has went up and down. A boss either came from a family that knew somebody, that had a connection, that put them on, and they just walked into the job. All they had to do was get the education, or they literally, quite frankly, got birthed into the position.
Yeah.
So I say that to say some of the people that have literally started Fortune 500 companies, they're gonna be in these seats till they're 70 and they have brain cancer.
Yeah.
They don't care about you. They don't care about your outside version. They want you to come in and be a robot. So what you give them is the bare minimum.
Give him that robot, bro.
Don't create that work personality and get attached to the people that you're working with. Not saying that you can't have a relationship with people, but get attached to the place. Don't get attached to
Play
the
the
company.
game, bro.
Do not
Play
get
the
attached to the
game.
company.
Yeah.
I'm not, my corporate company, I'm not attached to. Not saying I don't necessarily want to be there, or not saying that I don't enjoy where I work. I'm not attached to it. You got to be able to detach yourself from that relationship because it is a transactional relationship. I come here, I do my job, you pay me so I can live my life. It ends there. It's not my religion. This is not what I have faith in. This is not what's going to sell me as a person.
This doesn't feed me spiritually.
It does not feed my soul. This helps me provide for my family. I appreciate that. There's multiple things that help me provide for my family. My health being number one. If I can't get up and go to work,
Mental and physical.
Mental and physical.
Yeah.
If I can't get up and go to work, it's over with anyway. So it's like, go into it with that mindset. Always keep your morals and principles. And I see this all the time. I just feel like people allow work to stress them out too much. And it's like, nah, work can be allowed to stress you out like maybe one day out of the year. Other than that, you should, I ain't gonna say enjoy it, but you shouldn't be that attached
Coast
to it.
it, bro. Yeah.
You shouldn't be that attached to it.
And I end on this, my closing point, bro. Companies are depending on you to dehumanize yourself, bro. When you are a dehumanized version of yourself, you're much more easier to control. You're much more easier to boss around. You're much more easier to just do what I tell you to do.
For sure.
It's the same thing like shut up and dribble. Yeah. You're just making calls, or you're making sales, or you're printing off copies, or you're being an assistant. It's the same concept. You gotta remember and realize, from the NBA to the Targets to the trash man companies, these top executives all think the same. Shut up and do your job. Don't be a human outside of this. Do your work. Nothing more than that. I don't want personality from you. I don't want character from you. I don't want anything outside of you basically just doing your job, being a robot. At the end of the day, essentially dehumanizing you. And so many people accept it as to, oh, here we go, we're about to do it again, just going through the motions. And yeah, I get it going through the motions, but a lot of times people go through the emotions and carry that home with them and go through the emotions with their family. Go through the motions with raising their children. Go through the motions with loving a woman or loving a husband. Go through the motions to working on a side business, which is really your main business. So that's the scary fine line of going through the motions, because if you're not able to cut it off at the job, don't just go through the motions at work. Like be productive at work. Don't do too much, but put effort in at work. Because how you do one thing is how you do everything, bro.
Come on now.
One time you said that, bro, that stuck with me. That's probably gonna stick with me for the rest of my life, bro. How you do one thing is how you do everything, bro. So it can be dangerous trying to go through the motions at work. You go home and you find yourself doing the same thing. You're like, man, why am I not so intentional with my kids? Why am I not so intentional with my wife? Why am I not really paying attention to these small things? Because you're not doing it at work. And now your innie's version is spilling over to your outie version. So it's integrating in a non-productive way. And I'll leave it at that, bro.
You definitely got to don't not do your job. I'm just saying, don't do your job more than
Exactly.
Don't do somebody else's job.
Exactly.
That's what I'm saying. That's the point I want to make. You definitely have to be productive. You definitely have to do your job. Don't do anyone else's job, because they're not paying you to do anyone else's job. Not saying you can't overachieve your expectations for your role, but as soon as be careful and be mindful of who else's job you're doing. And I would say that is the biggest lesson that I learned from not only the show, but again, just in corporate America in general. So,
shout out to Ben Stiller. Y'all go check out Severance.
Yeah.
We are not paid to promote that, but it was just a great show. I love sci-fi. It's real eerie. The production was amazing. Graphics was amazing. The plot was amazing. The build-up was amazing. Man. Go check that out, bro. Just to build your mind, bro. Appreciate it as art, but also look past the art and look for the lessons in it too, bro.
It's some lessons you can learn for sure.
And with that, it's been another episode of the Paradigms Perspective Show. And we're gonna be back at it with another one soon. Peace.
Yes, sir.
And I can't go for that, but I can show the facts. She fell in love with a Thundercat. But yeah, baby, I'm a Rolling Stone. But you already knowing that.